That's who we are. That's what we do.
Hi, I'm Petreece Cuffie, counselor and trainer, and one of my deepest desires is to see people experience the fulfillment and growth that comes through healthy relationships. We're wired for relationships, so tune in and join with me as I explore and discuss tools for healthy relationships every Monday, 12:15 p.m. on Isaac 98.1 FM.
Right, it's about that time where we head into healthy relationships with the counselor and trainer Petreece Cuffie. Don't forget we are streaming live on FB and TV. That's on YouTube, and Isaac the Promise on Facebook. Let me get Petreece over here with me. All right, Petreece, good afternoon and good to have you back with me.
Good afternoon, Tiffany, and it's wonderful to be back. And good afternoon to all our callers, viewers, listeners. Really, really happy to be here this afternoon, or this morning, or this evening, according to where you're listening and looking.
So, right, over to you, Petreece.
All right. So, I'm always thinking about praying about what to do. And what came to mind was actually a client sharing with me. Thanks so much for explaining this to me, and for sharing this. And when I implemented it in my life, it really helped me as a person, but also with my relationships. So I thought about some things that we probably know, but we don't consider them deeply or deeply enough. So things that we need to know and practice to have healthy relationships. So I came up with 10 of those things. Actually, I had about 17, and I was able to distill it down to 10. 10 things you need to know and practice to have healthy relationships. And this is not going to be, this most likely would be a two-part series. So this is part 1. And I'm really hoping to get through the first 5 things that we need to know to practice. We need to know and practice, to have healthy relationships. So what are those 10 things? 1, don't expect people to be like you, or sometimes we say it this way, don't expect you in people. Number 2, we like people who share our core values. Number 3, we teach people how to treat us. Number 4, self-awareness and self-acceptance are keys to having healthy relationships. Number 5, you cannot have a healthy relationship if one or both of you lack compassionate empathy. Number 6, understanding what trusting people looks like. Number 7, be willing to listen, to hear, and understand. Number 8, be willing to forgive and apologize. Number 9, there is conflict and difficult conversations to be had in all of our important relationships. So learn healthy ways to handle conflict and have difficult conversations. And number 10, God is your source for peace, love, righteousness, and joy, and not a person. A person is not your source for those things. So these are the 10 things that I believe you need to know and practice to have healthy relationships. Of course, there are others, and there are many others, but just in terms of my work with people and the things that people have said, this really helped me. This helped my relationships with my loved ones, with my friends, in my marriage. These things really helped me. So the first one, don't expect people to be like you, or don't expect you in people. I remember our wife said, she said, like, that was a breakthrough for me, because this caused a lot of disappointment in my life with friends and even my spouse. Now, everyone is unique, and you are unique. And though you may believe this, sometimes you don't act like it. So though we believe this, everyone is unique, I am unique, sometimes we don't act like it. The whole package of you, that is your combination of needs and wants and talents and weaknesses, your personality, your likes, your dislikes, your hobbies, your reactions, even your internal logic. Those things are unique to you. So while we have similarities with others, so of course, all human beings have similarities. We have similarities with others. That combination, you are unique. Expecting people to be like you, which is sharing your values, your logic, your reactions, that whole combination is a major source of personal unhappiness, causing chronic disappointment. And when we talk about chronic disappointment, we're talking about disappointed through the years. I have been feeling disappointed for a long, long time, right? So that's a major source. Expecting you in someone, expecting people to be like you, a major source, right, of chronic disappointment, resentment, and strained relationships. Because people have different, we know this, backgrounds, perceptions, and expecting people to think and act like you ignores individuality, leading to misinterpretation and unmet needs. So many times, we see things a particular way, and when somebody does something, we interpret it through our way, and we can actually label it as this person is so wicked or unkind, but they are coming from a totally different angle, a totally different perception, right? Letting go of this expectation allows for healthier relationships, reduce anxiety, and acceptance of diverse perspectives. And no matter what, even if you live with somebody, so I've been living with somebody for almost 30 years now, and I can tell you that man is not like me. Right? So even living with somebody doesn't mean that somehow you all become similar in many ways. The problem with this thinking, the problem with expecting people to be like you, expecting you in people, and we see some of what it causes, is there is constant disappointment. Assuming others will handle situations, communicate, or feel the same way you do usually results in being deeply disappointed, which of course would cause us to be angry, upset, frustrated when they don't. It also causes destructive resentment, and resentment can really eat away at a loving foundation of a relationship. When you act kindly with the expectation that others will return the same level of effort, you create a hidden contract. So there's something in there that breeds resentment when it was not met. Look at it. I did so and so for this person, but I was expecting them to do. No, we're different. And how you may help me, may help you, but in a different way because we are different. So that can create a lot of destructive resentment. And remember, it's a contract you have in your mind. So I did this for this person, so I'm expecting them to do the same thing for me. Now, they don't know that. They are not aware of those expectations. And then we can have missed connections, forcing your own way of life, your own blueprint on others limits your ability to appreciate their unique perspective, limiting the depth of the relationship. So all of us, if we come together, we can have a slightly different perspective on the same issue that brings such a greater sense of understanding, connection, and depth in those relationships and even in your own life and your own perception of life. And then we can misinterpret behavior. You may interpret someone's different approach as a personal attack, when in reality, it is simply a reflection of their own personal, internal, and emotional landscape. So once we have this mindset that people are going to act like me and someone shares something different, you can see it as they just don't care or they're attacking me, when really it is that they see the situation differently. And therefore, the importance of really listening to understand another person and a person's heart. So, so important. Now, why do we do it? So, why do we? Because if this thing is so disappointing, why am I setting up myself for this? And a lot of times we're not doing this consciously, right? We are the point of reference. Sometimes we do it because we have consciously or unconsciously, I think unconsciously a lot of times, made ourselves the point of reference. We often use ourselves as the standard for how things should operate and things should be done because we understand our own thought processes and our way have worked for us. So I've been doing it like this and it has worked. So of course, this must be the right way or this must be the best way. It's really only one way. And it may be good, but it's not the only way. And who knows, there may be a better way, right? So we are the point of reference. And sometimes I say this, we could also be what I call self-righteous in the sense that our way is right. And I have determined that my way is right and your way is wrong. Also, sometimes it's out of a need for control. So expecting others to act like you is an attempt to control the outcome. So I know what should happen if they do this or if they think like this. And that is important for many of us because the reality is that we have very little that we are in control of. As human beings, very, very little. That's why I thank God for God. There's very little we have control of. So sometimes in a need to control, we can think like this. We can have this mindset. Now, what do we need to do if this is our thinking which impacts our behavior? Well, instead of projecting you onto others, it stands to accept that people are unique. Focus then on clear communication, asking for what you need and want, explaining yourself, right? So focus on clear communication rather than silent expectations. Because when you expect others to be like you or you expect yourself and others, you don't think you need to communicate about something. You think the other person will see it like you and get it like you. And if they don't, in Trinidad, we say you're dotish, they're dotish. Or we could even say they're selfish. That is selfishness or they're unkind and therefore judging persons when really you have not communicated what you truly want or what you truly expect. You have a silent expectation there that is based on you as the point of reference, right? And also, we want to be able, if everyone is unique, then let's appreciate that loved ones differences can be a gift rather than a problem. So that difference could help to broaden my way of dealing with life and seeing things that could actually help me to have a better life. I didn't think about it like that. I didn't realize that, wow, that might be hurtful to somebody in truth, but I've never seen it like that before, right? Appreciate that those differences can be a gift rather than a problem. Of course, many people think it would be wonderful if everyone behaved in ways that make sense to them or in ways that please them. But to be honest, I think that that would be a very small and boring world with little creativity and growth. We are different. Even as friends, we are different. Even as married partners, spouses, we're different. And those differences help the relationship to be relationships of growth, right? Individually and as loved ones. And it helps to make things more exciting, right? So ask yourself if you have been expecting things from others based on who you are, or are you expecting them to be someone that they are not. Again, ask yourself. Ask yourself if you have been expecting your loved ones, your friends, your spouse, right? Have you been expecting things from him or her or them based on who you are? Or are you expecting your loved ones to be someone that he or she or they are not? So, number two, we like people who share our core values. Friendships and other intimate relationships are more than just about loving people. Know that we can love anyone, including our enemies, because love is a choice. Love is a choice to act in a Christ-like manner towards another person. That's what love is. It's not about a feeling. It is a choice to act in a Christ-like manner towards another person. However, our friendships and romantic relationships are about liking people. It's not just about love. Yes, I love you, but I like him too, right? And we like people who share our core values. Liking people is about compatibility, a feeling of safety and trust. So having similar core values are essential in intimate relationships, like friendships, like marriage, right? Because they act as a foundation for compatibility, trust, safety, and even just the long-term stability that this relationship could stand the test of time, right? Long-term stability of the relationship. So, what are core values? Your core values are the fundamental, deeply held beliefs and principles that guides a person's behavior, their decisions, what they prioritize, acting almost like an internal compass for living, people say living authentically. They define what is truly important. So for someone, something like integrity, kindness, a growing relationship with God, family life, helping others, ambition, or growth, right? So these are different type mindsets, and they tend to, so typically they remain stable throughout your adulthood, though they can be reshaped. They can be reshaped or changed by life experiences. For example, if somebody um, gets salvation through Jesus Christ, accepts Jesus Christ as Lord and Savior, there can be a change in their core values. What is now important to them? Near death experiences can cause persons to reshape or change their core values, and even great losses or great loss can cause a person to reshape or change their core values. But normally, it tends to be stable throughout your adulthood. And our core values, know this, your core values will always show up in your behaviors and what you prioritize. So you can't really fool a person. Let's say I say dependability is one of my core values. But then in my behaviors, I am making promises, I am making commitments to do things, and then I'm not doing it. Then that is just me fooling myself. Dependability is not one of my core values. It may be aspirational that I wish I could be more dependable, but it certainly isn't a present core value. So even with that dependability, let's say dependability is one of your core values. Think about being in a relationship or getting along with someone, even a friend, who is not dependable. That will drive you up a wall. It will be very frustrating because this is really matters to you. And for you, it's like, can't understand how this person will be like that. Well, dependability is not one of their core values, right? So, why does why do core values matter in relationships? Why they matter? because it is the foundation for compatibility. Understanding your own core values, the principles you cannot compromise on, is crucial for identifying a compatible life partner. Without this, spouses often clash over major life decisions such as dealing with finances, parenting, or even lifestyle choices because your core values determine your approach to life. It even determines what matters to you in life. And that's a big deal because when we look at even things like for marriages, if there's no agreement on your approach to life, what matters to you in life, core values, if things are not similar, the marriage will get horrible. It will not stand the test of time and be healthy. It won't, right? Core values matter because it increases trust and security. Shared core values, example, let's say loyalty. So loyalty could be a core value. Honesty could be a core value. Growth could be a core value. And if we share these core values, it creates a secure environment where friends feel understood and accepted because we all share these things as important and that they matter. Conflict resolution is also impacted by core values. When disagreements arise, having shared core values provides common ground to navigate challenges, allowing spouses and friends to find solutions that make sense to both persons. So imagine I like helping people and I'm talking with a friend who say people are just lazy and they need to work harder, and I want to help this person. You can imagine how we're resolving that, right? Conflict, right? Longevity and resilience. So why core values matter in relationship? Because it gives longevity and resilience to the relationship. So while, for example, attraction, you're physically attracted to somebody and you have these sparks, romantic sparks, that is not going to keep the relationship. If it did, more relationships would be healthy, right? Shared core values are the glue that sustains it through difficult times. Very, very critical. Reduce relationship insanity. Knowing your core values prevents the cycle of entering similar failed relationships as you focus on what you truly need rather than superficial ones and even physical attraction. Very, very important. So when core values differ significantly in marriage partners, it often leads to many little and big conflicts and a constant need for negotiation and compromise. And when we have a lot of compromise in marriage, that is unhealthy and it causes a strain on the marriage relationship. So, examples of how core values can show up in your life, for example, in decision making. So, you may choose a lower paying job that offers a better work life balance because healthy family life is one of your core values. And so, you want to spend quality time with your family. Now, if your spouse values achievement and ambition, it can cause major conflicts over how we deal with family life. Now, none is wrong. Somebody having a core value of healthy family life and another person having a core value of achievement and ambition, neither is wrong or right. It is just that this is not compatible, right? So it leads because your core values would lead to a different approach to life and decision making. And I hope you're understanding this point. Another thing in handling crisis in your life. So you want to turn to God in all things to navigate life and to navigate difficult personal challenges because you have a core value of a healthy, growing relationship with God or a core value that God should come first. That's one of your core values. Imagine being in an intimate relationship with someone who does not have this as a core value. At best, there will be no spiritual intimacy, and at worst, there will be internal personal conflict and then conflict in the relationship. Not because one person is good and one person is bad, but because our core values differ. So you really want to know what are your top 10 personal core values. So do you know? And you want to know and you want to rank them and you want to know what are your top 5 personal core values. And you want to be able to see, okay, is this person, especially if you're in a relationship, does this person share my core values? And you don't go and say these are my core values. And the person say, yeah, these are my core values too. You want to look at behaviors because you know what those core values look like because they're yours and you live them out. So you know the behaviors that a person needs to have to show these core values, right? So I want you to think about, listener, think about, can you identify someone you don't like? Can you identify, bring that person to mind? Now think about how your values are different from theirs. And once you're able to pick, you know, this is a main reason why I don't like this person. Because our values are different, right? So you like honesty and openness, and the person is secretive or sketchy or dishonest. So I don't like the person because they don't share that value, right? Now, you may not like the person, but remember, you can still love them. You can still pray for them, right? You can be still kind to them and have healthy boundaries, healthy expectations with regard to relating to them. But just because you don't like somebody does not stop you from loving them. And remember, love is a choice, it is action that is Christ-like in nature towards another human being. And I want you to think about your close friends. Think about probably one close friend. Think about one close friend. Now, they may be different from you in many ways, but the reason that you are close friends, intimate friends with them, is because you have similar core values. If you look at your top 5 core values, they possibly have 3 or 4 or probably even all 5 of them, right? And that's the main reason you like them and you do really well with them, right? This is really, really important. So even in marriages, people say things like, I love my spouse, but I'm no longer in love with my spouse. And what they really mean is, yes, there is some compassion there. I will continue to act in ways that demonstrate Christ-likeness towards the person. But there are things about them, how they behave and how they think, that is very different from how I would behave and how I think. Our core values are actually different. And you probably didn't realize that in courtship. You probably didn't realize that before, but it will show up in the marriage. So it's very important to know your core values. Don't get into an intimate relationship that looking at marriage and don't know what your core values are, especially a top 10, especially a top 5, and you can't see that in the other person. All right? Number 3, we teach people how to treat us. We teach people how to treat us. You know, we say in Trinidad and probably in other places, monkey know what tree to climb. Right? We teach people how to treat us. We teach people how to treat us by what we tolerate, what we allow, what we reinforce by our behaviors, right? People don't take on what we say, you know. People respond to how we act. Am I going to I say no, but my action's still saying yes? Well, then as far as they're concerned, if my action's saying yes, who cares if I said no? She said yes. So setting firm boundaries, communicating our needs and preferences clearly, and respecting ourselves are essential to ensuring respectful treatment. So if we train people through our actions, or even lack of actions, even our inactions, we can change how people treat us by changing our responses and by reinforcing consequences. So, some key ways to teach others how to treat us or how to treat you. Set boundaries. Clearly define what behavior you will not tolerate and uphold those limits consistently. And sometimes you don't even have to do this often, because sometimes it's just one person might be, that you have to deal with. So you're not going along with people who never even broke a boundary and say, this is a boundary. No. And I would have done this is topic on setting boundaries, so you can check for it on FBN TV on YouTube, right? So set your boundaries. Control your reactions. So you may not be able to control another person's behavior, but you can control how you respond to it, your reaction. So sometimes removing yourself from a situation where you're not being respected can be very powerful. So decide how you are going to react. So somebody is communicating to you in a particular way, and you said, if you continue speaking to me like that, I will have to leave this conversation. You are controlling your reaction, you are setting a boundary. Communication is important. Communicate your expectations with kindness and clarity rather than through anger, to ensure you are treated with respect. When we communicate in anger, it really doesn't have the impact we think it would, because people just kind of ignore that. Okay, she's just angry and upset. That's why she's saying that. So generally, communicating with anger doesn't actually do what we think it should, right? So a lot of people learn, if I don't get angry and I don't curse and I don't carry on, nobody will listen to me. But it's how long they listen to you for. They listen out of fear, and then everything goes back to normal. Remember, you are priceless. Your worth has nothing to do with people liking you or how many people like you. You are here to be loving to people and to please God, not people. So I am not about if this one like me or that one like me, or else, yes, monkey will know what tree to climb. Right? So I want this person to like me. I don't want this person to dislike me. Well, you're not here about that. You're here about pleasing God, not people. Right? So while your actions, right, you're acting in loving ways, everybody's not going to be pleased. Everybody's not going to like you. And everybody's not going to like you also because your core values may be different from them. Right? So it's to remember that you're priceless. Your worth has nothing to do with who likes you or who doesn't like you. And be careful about what you tolerate. Recognize that by accepting disrespect or staying silent, you are signaling to others that such behavior is acceptable. And it's not just that it's acceptable it is acceptable to you, but it's also okay possibly for them to do it to others. And you really don't want to do that. So be very careful with what you tolerate. Number 4, self-awareness and self-acceptance are keys to having healthy relationships. Self-awareness and self-acceptance are crucial for healthy relationships because they foster emotional regulation. You're able to regulate your emotion. You have clearer communication. You can empathize. It prevents the projection of your personal pain, your personal issues and insecurities onto your friends, loved ones, spouse, right? Self-awareness and self-acceptance allows individuals to understand their triggers, set healthy boundaries, take accountability for their actions. And of course, this will reduce conflict and build trust in relationship. So the practice of self-awareness allows us to know and understand ourselves, choose healthy relationships, and give the best of ourselves. And self acceptance gives us permission to be able to be okay even though we are flawed and not perfect. So we don't have to be the hero. Jesus is the hero. So we don't always have to be beaten up on ourselves and living in condemnation and shame, right? We are flawed, we are not perfect. We want to continue growing and getting better, yes, and we don't have to be the hero. Thank God. Thank Jesus. Jesus is the hero. And I think that self awareness is actually a mark of emotional maturity and even spiritual maturity. So, self awareness and self acceptance, when we have this, what we have is improved communication and conflict resolution. So, self awareness helps you to understand your own feelings, leading to more honest and clear communication rather than reacting to triggers, with angry outbursts or arguments and defensiveness. When we understand ourselves, we even understand our triggers. Sometimes we know, okay, words of affirmation is my love language. So I know if persons come at me in a particular tone, that could be triggering and cause me not to hear. So you know what? And I want to tune into the tone. I really want to tune in to what the person is actually saying. And God help me to tune out the tone. And I've had to do that, right? Because I'm aware of how I'm impacted by tone. So tone no longer becomes a trigger, especially when somebody has something difficult to share and they may have a tone. Yeah. It reduces projection and blame. Without self awareness, people often project their past traumas and even unresolved wounds onto their spouses, their friends, their loved ones. Also, accepting yourself reduces a need for constant validation from others. Yeah, I know I'm not perfect. I know I'm flawed, but I know I'm growing. I know these are my strengths and weaknesses. Better, it also, with self awareness and self acceptance, we have better emotional regulation. Knowing your triggers allows you to regulate your emotions, creating a calmer environment and avoiding unfair outbursts at loved ones. Self awareness, self acceptance, we have clearer boundaries. Understanding your own needs and accepting your limits allows you to set healthy boundaries, ensuring that you don't stay in situations that are toxic and disrespectful. It also increases our empathy and intimacy. When you are compassionate with yourself, it becomes easier for you to have empathy for others and be compassionate with others. You know how you struggled. You know how hard this was for you. So it helps you in having empathy and compassion for others. And then accountability. Self awareness encourages you to take responsibility for your behavior, which is essential for problem solving, strengthening of relationships, and for growth. So, healthy self awareness and self acceptance helps individuals to enter relationship, and this is very important, relationships with a sense of wholeness rather than neediness, because I'm aware of me, what I'm about, how I operate, right? I know what I want and don't want. I know how to get my needs met. So I'm not entering a relationship and I need to be loved. I need, because once we need, choice is not going to be the best. Yeah. So Tiffany, I'll stop with that today at number 4. So I'll continue in the next program, God's willing, at number 5. So the 4 that I did today, let me find them. So these are the 10 things you need to know and practice to have healthy relationships. 1, don't expect people to be like you, or don't expect you in people. 2, we like people who share our core values. 3, we teach people how to treat us. And number 4, self-awareness and self-acceptance are keys to having healthy relationships.
Well, thank you so much, Petreece. I just want to check to see if we have any messages. Don't forget, guys, you can feel free to send your WhatsApp. And of course, I will pass it to Petreece. All right, the number is 2751981. I'm going to give you a comment here, Petreece. Well, it's all right, so it's more of a question. We teach people how to treat us. We even set boundaries. But what if they just ignore what you are saying?
Well, I mean, I don't have all the information, and that probably
Okay.
will be need to get help, to get counseling, to get a third party involved. Because if this is a relationship that really matters, right, which is what I'm thinking the person is talking about, then help, you need help. Sometimes a person hearing from someone else outside of the situation can help them to see and understand things in a different way. Yeah.
All right, I've got one more. Good afternoon, Petreece. What do you mean when you say compromise in marriage?
Compromise really is a little bit of what you want, a little bit of what the other person wants, because we cannot agree on a way forward, right? So nobody gets exactly what they want. And of course, there are situations where we need to compromise in marriage, but it mustn't be the dominant way of problem solving, because resentment will build. And that is why having similar core values becomes so important, because when we don't have similar core values, we do a lot of compromise. So um, I want the wall blue and you want the wall pink, and we end up with a purple wall, which none of us want, but it has a little bit of blue and pink in it, right? So, okay, we end up with something. So I'm hoping that answers the question.
All right, so that's it for the questions coming in today, Petreece. I want to say thank you, as usual, for being with us on the 981. Don't forget, guys, if you missed it, probably you got a little piece. Make sure you head across to FBN TV on YouTube and Isaac the Promise on Facebook. And of course, you can get this message. So, Petreece, have a beautiful week ahead. We
Thank you.
appreciate you.
Same
God
to you.
bless you. And shout out to
God
Huey.
bless. All right.
Have a great one. Take
Okay.
care. Bye bye.
Bye-bye. Hi, I'm Petreece Cuffie, counselor and trainer, and one of my deepest desires is to see people experience the fulfillment and growth that comes through healthy relationships. We're wired for relationships, so tune in and join with me as I explore and discuss tools for healthy relationships every Monday, 12:15 p.m. on Isaac 98.1 FM.
Isaac 98.1 FM. Listen to us at home, in your cars, on your way to work, or in the office. Tune in now and listen live.